Anybody can keep an aquarium if you really want to. You only really need to know a couple of main facts. These facts, these things that I'm about to tell you, they're learnt over time. You can find out these tips anywhere, but I'm gonna give you all of these in one short video. I'm gonna go ahead and slip it to you on the slide.
Can you dig it?
Why so serious?
So, keeping an aquarium is not hard to do. Where people have the biggest problems is not knowing a couple of little tips that over 24 years of keeping aquariums on and off, I took a little break, but I've learned through making the mistakes. We're gonna bypass these mistakes and go straight for the meat, the good stuff. The little tips and tricks I've learned that help me be successful, and they can help you be successful. And here's the fun part. The fun part is you ain't got to buy squat, nothing, nada. All these tips is free, and how to implement them is free. In fact, these tips is gonna save you money. The first tip, in all honesty, I wanted to put as the last tip, but I'm afraid that you guys may not make it to the end of the video. Sometimes things happen, whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you one of the main, pretty much the main tip right off the jump. The first tip on keeping a healthy aquarium and not kill your fish, not blow your money, is knowing the cycle. Okay? And by the way, just because I gave you this tip and I said it's the main tip, that doesn't mean I ain't got some good stuff for you to know down at the end of this video. So stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. But knowing the cycle. Now, I can go into a whole lot of mumbo jumbo, fish nerd, geek talk, but I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is tell you that the cycle is the most important part in understand how aquariums work. At the end of this video, I'm gonna leave a link for you to watch a video that I did. I took a long time to try and figure out how to make the perfect nitrification cycle video, however you want to call it, knowing the cycle of your tank. It took me a long time to figure out how to put it into words to where anybody could understand the cycle and use the information and be successful with it. That's going to be at the end of the video, a link to it. So, you know, definitely stay around for that. But in a nutshell, the cycle is how water acts in your aquarium, how it develops into being healthy water for your fish. That's one thing, because they live in the water, right? That's the main ingredient to your aquarium is the water. So you got to know your water. Watch that video. Honestly, if you don't know the cycle or you're not willing to learn the cycle, you're gonna blow your money. And I don't normally say this, but if you're not willing to know or learn the cycle, I wouldn't even bother keeping an aquarium, to be honest with you. That's how strongly I feel about that. While talking about the cycle, I do go into a little bit about beneficial bacteria. Actually, I go into a lot of it. A tip that I have used that has worked out for me so well is a huge amount, as much as possible without being ridiculous, of beneficial bacteria. And the way you get the beneficial bacteria is by having mechanisms in place for that bacteria to thrive. In this particular tank, you know, it's a planted tank with dirted substrate. This is one way to go, but I wouldn't mess with this unless you knew the cycle first and you knew what you was doing. You got a little, I mean, it's cool and all that, it's helpful, it works great, but unless you know and you got a little experience under your belt, I wouldn't mess with that. I would go with a way easier way of introducing or propagating, growing, keeping beneficial bacteria by putting filter media in your filtration that promotes the growth of beneficial bacteria. This beneficial bacteria grows on everything, but on certain surfaces it works best. For instance, ceramic rings, biosponges, all this stuff you can get pretty much anywhere. And the great thing about beneficial bacteria and the stuff that you use to grow the beneficial bacteria in your fish, you don't have to continue to buy it over and over again. It's reusable. It's a one-time buy. All you have to do is clean it. Now, when you clean anything that has beneficial bacteria in it, these are living organisms, so you don't want to use chlorinated water. You want to use the old water from your fish tank. So when you do your water changes, if you do water changes, some people don't feel like they want to do it. I'm not going to say yay or nay. Take some water from your aquarium, rinse out, just swish it around. You're just knocking off all the debris, put it back in your aquarium, and you got more room for beneficial bacteria to grow. As beneficial bacteria grows, it consumes all the nastiness that I hope you're gonna learn about watching the video that I was talking about at the beginning of this video. But beneficial bacteria is, in my opinion, you can't overdo it. You can't overdo it. The more you have, the better off you are. I don't know if this is something that is actually as big of a deal as I make it out to be. All I know is it's something that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's something that I promote in every one of my tanks. Every time I do it, it's at the top of my list of top 3 things I need to provide for my aquarium, and it seems to work for me. Maybe I'm fooling myself. I don't know. If you're in the comments and you feel like I'm full of it, then let me know. But I personally think highly oxygenated water, not ridiculously high, okay? Water with a lot of oxygen molecules in it is one of the most important things in keeping your fish healthy. The first one being good water quality. The second one, in my opinion, is oxygen. Oxygen in the water, that doesn't even make no sense. You ever seen the bubbles in the water? They say you need that for your aquarium. You don't actually need the bubbles. You need the shaking at the top of the water. I gotta do something about this. The water's starting to get. Now, the shaking at the top of the water causes oxygen molecules to fall from the sky above the water, and it kind of descends into your aquarium water. The water goes into your fish's mouth, past the gills. The gills grab the oxygen and disperse it along the body. It's like lungs. We breathe in air, the air goes to our lungs, and the lungs divide it up and put it into our bloodstream. Boom, we have aeration in our body. We have oxygen. The same thing for the fish, but they don't use lungs, they use gills. If you don't have a lot of oxygen in your water, your fish's breathing is the best way to create oxygen in your water is by shaking the surface. You can do that with a bubbler, bloop, 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 shaking the top of the water, or you can use it with like a wave maker. As long as the top of the water is shaking and shimmying, you have highly oxygenated or well oxygenated. I'm afraid to use the word highly because I'm afraid people are gonna overdo it, and you can overdo it. I've seen people do it. I just never watched their fish die. I remember seeing their tank going, God dang! But and then they was having problems after, but I'm just assuming that was it. Do you really want to know what I believe is the biggest mistake that first timers or even people at higher levels, whatever, do to really mess up their aquariums? They overfeed their aquarium. Now, when you overfeed your aquarium, that's when you start dirtying up the water. And if you don't have the proper beneficial bacteria, you could have an ammonia spike. You have an ammonia spike, the ammonia does not allow proper oxygen to be dispersed in the water because the ammonia is kind of like a fullback. It blocks the oxygen from coming through. A lot of us overfeed, and it's hard not to do, right? Because you know you get to see them move around. A lot of these fish, especially angels and cichlids, you know, you walk past the tank and they're like, hey, feed me, and you think they're hungry, but they're not. I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna give you the video on the nitrogen cycle at the end of the video, and I'm also gonna put in a video, my playlist on how to keep a healthy aquarium, and there's a video in there on how to feed your fish. I don't feed my fish every day. I feed them every other day. As long as their bellies are not sunken inward, feeding them plenty. Sometimes we like to see them with their fat bellies because it looks cute and all that, but all that food ends up being doo-doo, and that doo-doo becomes nasty water. It causes the most problems to the most people in this hobby. My last tip I would have to give to you guys is a simple one. Look at your fish. Now, when I say look at your fish, I don't mean like, I can see the damn tank right there. What the hell you mean, look at my fish? Take the time to look at one fish for at least 5 minutes while you're feeding it, while it's just going about its business, and just look at that one fish. Block out all the other fish and just focus on what that one fish is doing, how it does it, why is it doing it. That way, the next time you take an opportunity to look at that same fish, you can compare it. Oh, that fish wasn't doing that last time. Before, it was swimming around in the middle, you know, acting like a butthole. But now it's all the way in the corner, like, you know, not moving. Oh, it's not eating. Usually when I feed him, I watch that one fish and he eats like this. But now he's being real timid. And hopefully through watching your fish, you'll figure out why things are happening the way they are. Observe your fish, see what they do, so that they can tell you when something needs to be done. None of these things that I told you was gonna cost you money. It's all free, and it's all free for you to take advantage of. If you enjoyed this, please take a look at these other videos. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this video. Share, and definitely leave a like. If you leave a like, that little ping, all it does is it tells the YouTube guys that this video and my channel's worth watching.
Da 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 da.